how to honor loved ones on a different belief. You don't have to join their storybook. So what's best for you right now is for you to be grounded and nurtured and loved.
Hmm.
And I've talked a lot about self-care with people just this last week. And we've talked about drink from the saucer of your overflow.
Right, right.
And,
Yeah.
and as much as that is, people are like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. And I'm like, I know. Thanks, Moira. Thanks, Moira. But it makes so much sense. And I think this is the thing is you don't have to get into people. There's a few tips here, like you don't have to get into people's stuff, but just that is actually a beautiful way to, I don't know if you call it a grounding or just a healing or whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to label it. What Moira just did. What is it called? It's a heart coherent, isn't
I
it?
call it heart coherence.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome, dear listeners. Welcome, dear Deb.
Hi.
Hello, my dear. Here we are with another one of our deliciously motivated mindset conversations. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. How to honor loved ones with different beliefs. OMG. Be interesting to see
Mm-mm.
where we go on this one, because I'm sure we both got lots of tips and ideas and suggestions to share. That's kind of how we roll with these conversations. But before we get into it, we've been doing this little bit of just synchronizing our heart energy, bringing us all together, regardless of where you are, what's going on. What I encourage you to do is to perhaps put one or both hands over your heart space. And as you do that, just feel your breath coming in through your heart space, inflating your belly, and then sigh it out through your mouth. And with your next in-breath, I want you to intend and pretend and just feel that you are sending a connecting cord from your feet, from your tailbone, right down into the core of Mother Earth. So breathe in, breathe out, send out that cord, anchoring you into the loving support of Mother Earth. And as you breathe in, breathe that nurturing, grounding, beautiful energy all the way back up, filling your heart and breathing out again. And on the next breath, I'm going to encourage you to send a cord up to the universe, to connect to Father Sky, to the universe, to source energy. So breathe in. Now breathe out, send that cord, that ribbon, that connecting. Feel that connection. And now breathe in that beautiful, loving energy all the way down and into your heart. Good. Just feeling like things are getting to the right rhythm, the right pace. Seeing you, feeling you, honoring you, witnessing you. And now what I'd like you to do is to intend that you're connecting with everyone else, no matter what time or space or when. People listening to this episode, connecting with your heart to every being in this planet, in this world. So breathe in. And breathe out, sending your unconditionally loving energy to encircle the planet and all beings. Good. Feel seen, feel recognized, feel received by that, and bring that all the way back into you. Good. Feeling here, feeling connected, feeling like you matter. You just this simple connecting to the earth, connecting to source energy, and then connecting from your heart space is such a powerful, it's simple, but it's such a powerful exercise to do. I actually do exercises like this every single day, multiple times. And so I'd
Mhm.
really encourage you to just embody that and embrace it, make it your own. And that's a beautiful way for us to kind of ease into our conversation all around how to honor loved ones with different beliefs. Because regardless of what the beliefs are from other people, that you can still connect. The beliefs come from a different place. Does that make sense? How are you
It does.
feeling with that?
I love the way you open and I love the way you open our podcast. And it just literally does feel like a beautiful, loved bubble that
Yeah,
we're in.
yeah.
And I'm smiling because each time you do it, I go back to what's our tip number one. You know, how to honor loved ones on different beliefs is actually one of the tips I'm thinking is just listen to this because this actually grounds you and it's all about, how to honor loved ones on a different belief. You don't have to join their storybook. So what's best for you right now is for you to be grounded and nurtured and loved.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked a lot about self-care with people just this last week. And we've talked about drink from the saucer of your overflow.
Right, right. Yeah.
And as much as that is, people are like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. And I'm like, I know. Thanks, Moira. Thanks, Moira. But it makes so much sense. And I think this is the thing is you don't have to get into people. There's a few tips here, like you don't have to get into people's stuff, but just that is actually a beautiful way to, I don't know if you'd call it a grounding or just a healing or whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to label it. What Moira just did. What is it called? It's a heart coherent, isn't
I
it?
call it heart coherence, yeah. But of
Yeah,
course
so
the heart coherence happens when you get grounded and connected. So it's like connecting below and above, and then we get to
yeah.
bring ourselves into heart coherence.
And then we can, yeah.
Yeah.
And even just that, if you're going to honor loved ones on their different beliefs, honor yourself and do your heart coherent.
Mm-hmm.
Bring yourself back to your own heart. And there's a gazillion tips that we have to bring yourself back to your heart. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can bring yourself back to your heart, then you can actually honor loved ones
Yeah.
right there from that.
Yeah.
So everything you said made total sense.
Good.
So I'll sum that up. Everything you said made total sense. But tip number one, grab your note-taking device, peeps,
Oh yes, I forgot
because
to say that. Take your note-taking device.
as we're going in is do that heart coherent, ground yourself because you yeah, 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 yeah,
Yep.
there you go. There's
Yeah.
tip number
That's tip
one.
number one.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's it. That's one. Yeah.
As an add-on to that for tip number one, maybe this is tip number 1A, is,
Yeah.
and you've heard me say this before, ask yourself, what would love do here? So
Oh,
if you're,
yes.
yeah, so if you're challenged with someone's got a different belief, a loved one's got a different belief, what would love do? Love would accept everything, right? Or love would
Yeah.
speak from your heart. So that's the other reason why the heart coherence part is so, so important, is because sometimes when we get really indignant or caught up in a belief, like I know better and I know the way through this and I know the solution.
I never do that, Moira. I'm never like that.
Me neither.
Not at all. Not at all.
But when we got dropped down into our heart, we kind of go, oh, I can hold space for other people's opinions. I don't have to like them, but I can hold
Yeah.
space for them. But
Yeah.
that's when we come in from that heart coherence and ask ourselves, what would love do?
Mm.
The other piece that I wanted to do, you just said, and I know that you're going to share a tip, but I wanted to just read out to you this really cool quote that I found today.
It's
You
not
were,
from a tea bag, is it?
no,
Hang
it's
on.
not from a tea bag. This one's not from a tea bag. This one was for my newsletter this morning. Um, but it was what made me think of it was you talking about self-care. And so this
Mm.
quote is by somebody called Eleanor Brown. And she said, rest and self-care are so important. When you take time to replenish your spirit, it allows you to serve others from the overflow. You cannot serve from an empty vessel. Isn't that
Well,
awesome?
she must have been listening to your podcast. She must
That's
have been
kind of
listening to you. That nails it right there then. Yeah.
yeah, but and yeah, it's so important to that's why it's so important to always put your self-care at the very top of your list. So how to honor loved ones with different beliefs. If you're feeling like your nose is out of joint or you're being disrespected or not heard, maybe it's because you're not actually looked after your own sacred self-care needs first, so that you can that overflow from the saucer, it's not making it conditional on you have to believe the same things as me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We forget and I think that's that thing is I say to people you want to be seen, heard, acknowledged. If you've got any problems going on, if you can see, hear, and acknowledge them, if you've got any problems with somebody else, if you can see them, hear them, and acknowledge them, now you don't have to agree, but see, hear, and acknowledge, you can just be open and
Yeah,
aware. And that allows them to calm the farm, that allows you to calm the farm, but it goes back our own way. If we can be seen, heard, and acknowledged, we can move forward with ease and graciousness and honoring ourselves and all that beautifulness. But
yeah,
if we can't see, hear, and acknowledge ourselves, well, you're in a chaotic state and you're not going to be able to honor loved ones on their beliefs or even honor yourself.
yeah, yeah. So sometimes too, don't you think that if if you see somebody else with a belief that's different to yours, this is my thing about calling you on your BS, on your
Yeah,
belief system.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
So sometimes we can be challenged by somebody else's belief system, somebody else's
yeah.
BS or our own. Um, but sometimes it's very useful to have kind of a light hold. Like, does this belief really serve me? Is this an outdated or inherited belief?
Is this
Right?
my belief or is this, I
Yeah.
love that. And is this my belief or one that my parents have told me and drilled into me or my boss or my lover or my children? Is this actually mine? Is
Yes.
this mine?
Is
Yeah.
this my that's a perfect way to just because if you're feeling challenged and saying, well, I have to this loved one must do this protocol because I believe that this is the way it goes, it happens, right? Or it gets fixed or resolved or whatever.
Yeah, which goes to the other thing is for myself, when they send that stuff to you, is it yours? But actually, is it yours to fix the other person as well?
Yes,
Like,
100%.
it has a double whammy. It's actually okay, is this mine to hold on to? But actually, is it my place to quotation, my fingers in the air,
Yep.
doing the quotation signs? Well, actually, it goes the other way. It goes
Yeah.
the other way of your quotation, but also you can turn your fingers around and go, this mine? Is this mine?
Yes.
And because we're jumping into judgment that we're not trusting the see, there's the trust. We're not trusting tip, trust, but we're
That's
not
the
trusting
tip.
that they can get through this.
Mhm.
We believe we have another one. Yeah. Tip, trust. Trust yourself, trust them, trust the bigger picture. Trust.
Absolutely. Because the thing is, and I was just talking about this actually earlier today, is that
Yeah. Mistake.
absolutely. But this thing about trust you, them, and the bigger picture. I don't know about you, but if I had to tell somebody I want you or I need you to talk to me in a certain way or to treat me in a certain way, and then they kind of go, oh, well, Moira needs me to speak like this, or Moira needs me to treat her like this, so I will do it just to keep Moira happy. I don't want that. That's almost like imposter because then they're not doing it from their genuine thing of I want to be there for Moira. I want to help with this. I want to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about I'm going through a grieving process. And so if I need to tell somebody I need you to check on in on me or I need you to ask me this,
Mm,
I won't do that. Because like
yeah.
I said, I don't want people going, oh, I have to do this for Moira because this way, right? Because
Yeah.
if you can't come to it by yourself, then I don't want people doing things because they should. And there's the quotation marks again, right?
Yeah. Shoulda, oughta, coulda. And I think, and that's, you don't want, if you're asking someone to do a job or a task or, hey, you want to come with me to the movies or any of that, and they're like, oh, yeah, I suppose I should because I haven't seen her for a while. I don't
Yeah.
want you coming.
No.
Just for the record, I don't want you coming because if you're got a shoulda, oughta, coulda, in any of that, we're sitting in obligation. I would rather just go on my own. Trust
Truly.
me.
100%. Me too.
Because as soon as the other person finds out, oh, I should have got, I have to do this, it breaks that beautifulness that you have between each other.
Yeah. And that's exactly what you're saying, is that it keeps the energy clear and clean and authentic. Right. So
Mm.
then you know that when you do go to the movies with this person, it's because they really want to go to the movies with you.
Yeah,
Right?
totally. Because obligation is one freaking ugly action.
It
It
is.
is one. And I understand, like, don't get me wrong, people. I've done things and then I'm like, oh, I just realized why I've been drained because you do it. And then halfway through or whatever you're in it, and then you're like, oh my God, this is not what I wanted to do. And then you're like, of course, this is obligation.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's an awakener too. Of course, this is why it's not what I want it to be because I didn't want to do it. It's obligation, and look what obligation does to me.
yeah, yeah. And so perhaps that this thing of the obligation is kind of it's maybe a defunct or out of date paradigm of saying, oh, I love this person and so I have to do this. Right?
Oh,
The
with the
honoring loved ones with different beliefs. So it's like I'm thinking of you and I talk often about law of attraction.
yeah.
I have many loved ones that you couldn't talk about law of attraction about because it's not their wheelhouse. There's a lot of people that think that it's kind of too woo-woo, right? And so um telling somebody be very careful what you say because you're going to make it happen. If they are not into the
You referencing something that's just happened to me
I just
recently, Moira.
realized I just realized that that's came out of my mouth. I was like, oh yeah, we were just
I
talking
think
about this.
reminding me of something that just happened a few days ago that I thought it saw it, actioned it, and it happened,
And
and
it
it was.
happened. Powerful manifester there over there.
I know, with a few bruises. Yes, yes, yes. I think what for me, you either have, I was single for 16 years before I met my partner, and uh, there's that little bit of that, and I realized I didn't need an intimate partner, but I was having my relationship in the many. And when I
Mm.
say that, people are like, "Oh yeah, Debbie, you're a little bit active."
Mhm.
No, I was having my intimate connection with my clients. We were talking business, we were talking mindset. I talk spirituality and mindset, with Moira. That
Mm.
that levels me up to an inspiring, I say it gets my juices flowing, I'll just be very honest. But so I've got that intimate connection that I didn't have in my relationship now with Moira. And now it's actually, I've got the one over the many, but it's added on top.
Right.
It's added on top. So you either have the one or the many. So those inspiring things that you've got connected with, they're dispersed with people.
Yes.
And you're never alone from it. You're never, we talk about how to honor loved ones on different beliefs. You're never without somebody all the way, whether it's someone physically in your world or someone mentally or yeah, you've always got somebody there for you.
Yeah, and this just reminded me of something else that I had a conversation with this many years ago actually, where we all have like you were just saying about we all have needs. We all have needs to be seen and experience this and express this and have this kind of conversation, talk about spirituality over here and talk about mindset over here and talking about law of attraction over there but we none of us have the right to expect all of those needs to be met by one person.
Yeah.
right? And so I was thinking of that because I think of some people who have relationship problems who, oh, I'm pissed off at my partner because I can't talk to them about um Disney movies, or I can't talk to them about law of attraction, or I can't talk to them about my dreams. But
Yeah.
but then my invitation is, who can you? So and
Yes.
what kind of conversations do you have with your partner? And so by doing that, you actually get to celebrate and really enjoy the fullness of each and every relationship. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean by that? So it's kind of like and sometimes it means we have to really honor the relationship, us with us.
Yeah.
And it's by doing that, then it's like, okay, we can unpack obligation when we say, no, I'm not gonna go with that person because I feel like I have to. I much rather sit and I'll write in my journal, or I'll have that expression by doing some kind of creative outlet, or going for a walk, or talking to my cat, or right.
Yeah, and it and I love that, and there's yeah. I'm not actually going to add anything onto that because I just went, that's actually perfect. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. But so the next step after that is to really consistently and continuously up level your self-awareness. How does this make me feel about me? So if
Yeah.
you're needing to honor a loved one with a different belief, how does it make you feel about you if you're stuck to an agenda, or you think I have to show up and be like this and explain this or fix this? How does it make you feel about you?
Yeah.
Right? Because you want to feel lit up. You want to feel aligned. You want to feel like you are being of best kindness and service, right?
You definitely don't want to be walk away and be frustrated with them because they don't need that energy as well.
No.
Walk away and just go, oh, they haven't done this, because if they've got a medical condition, or if they're dealing with all of, well, anything, different beliefs,
Yeah.
it's not for you to try and change that person, because it's not, it's just that, and it is all back to you with your agenda.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
back to your agenda.
And so that actually makes me think of the four agreements. Four agreements come in here, right?
For agreement taken long enough.
Well, because I was thinking about what having a personal agenda. Well, you're not being impeccable with your word if you've
Yeah,
got an agenda, right? Um, if you got an agenda, you might be making an assumption.
yeah.
If you're walking with an agenda, you might be taking something really personally. Like, oh, they're not gonna heal unless they follow my agenda or my, and you're not really doing your best either. That's
No,
that's the four agreements right there.
you're just being an a-hole right from the start. That's it, done. Yeah,
Well, you're making it all about you as opposed to honoring that loved one's own choices and
yeah,
paths. And
yeah,
sometimes that saying that says people come into our lives for a reason, season, lifetime.
yeah,
But I think that happens internally too. A condition or a belief system or a maybe health challenge can
yeah.
come to us for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Mm.
And so that this thing about honoring a loved one, it's about honoring they are going to deal with that issue or that challenge as long as it takes for them. Can you hold space for that and honor that?
Well, see, even holding space, and that goes back to that seen, heard, acknowledged. Holding space for someone is incredibly valuable, especially if they're an intimate partner, a family, but somebody who you care about. Because clearly, if you're in there, you care about them. But if you're holding that beautifulness and that space, that's a that's a level of beautifulness on its own.
Truly. And
Yeah.
so you see, when we hold space, we are actually releasing ourselves from the
Well, our agenda
shoulds.
is not
The
there.
yeah, there's no agenda, but there's no shoulds, there's no obligation. There's just, huh. well, that's an interesting mindset, or that's an interesting approach, or I wouldn't choose that, but this person is, you know?
Yeah.
Can you be
Yeah.
the interested observer as you hold space?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but in my own practice with clients and students, that's what we're doing a lot of times, is holding space.
So just explain to me, what does holding space look like? Because um, I say the same thing, 100%. I know what it looks like, but well, maybe that's a whole different podcast, how to hold space. But
Mhm.
what to hold space for someone, what does that look like? Like what action steps do you do to hold space? I say it and I do it, but people go, well, how do you hold space? I'm like, what? You don't know how to hold space? And yes, I do go into judgment because I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to hold space? Of course you do. You do this, this, and this. But what would you? God, I sound like an a-hole. I hear that and I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to hold space? What's wrong with you? Yep, I totally don't honor their different beliefs then, do I? Fully.
No, there's
I
your
live,
agenda.
yeah,
You got to
totally. I'm
know
like,
how to hold space.
yeah. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Everyone does it. And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay, right, right. Well, I'll show you. Yeah, totally. I'm definitely not honoring their own beliefs of that.
Mm.
But lets me educate them. But so what would you be your tips on holding space of for those people?
There's a few fundamentals about holding space to me is um listening, like full body listening,
Yeah,
meaning you don't know what's going to come out their mouth. You don't know what their emotions are. You don't know anything. So it's about coming into this space, whether it's online or on the phone or in person, that
yeah,
you come as the interested observer of how can I be of help? And that means you start by being compassionate listener and not jumping to fix and
yes,
not jumping to judgment or labeling or ascribing like, oh, I know what's wrong with you. All you need to do is this,
yeah,
this, this, this. That's not holding space, by the way.
yeah, yeah,
And so when a person comes needing space held, uh, I just listen to their story. I listen and then I ask to be invited into the problem solver or the have you tried this or have you thought about that or and
yeah,
so it's really about I have a client that we unpack these types of things often, and at the end of a session she will often say to me, I knew all these things. I
yeah,
knew all these approaches and the techniques and the ideas, and I know you did, because if you didn't, then I wouldn't be serving you, because holding space is about holding uh, an openness to help that person dredge up or pull up within them that they do know the answers. They right. So wouldn't is does that kind of where your what your idea is around holding space?
Uh, it's only percent, yes. And I think the other thing is I mean I used to have a friend of mine, and she would offload all the time, and
Hmm.
she'd just offload and off, like every day there'd be an offloader or there'd be a problem or something. And I thought when she was, and I say offload, I mean we're having a conversation, just people not, don't I mean to just offload. Guess what's happened to me? She'd be a conversation and she'd say stuff. And so my brain is instantly in the, oh, problem solution, problem solution, problem
Mm.
solution.
Hmm.
And what I discovered is often she just wanted to offload. She did not want a solution.
Right.
And I would go, oh, you just need to do this. Oh, here's your problem.
Right. Right.
Just
Right.
do
Right.
this. Just do this. And without even thinking, because I love that when you said an ask and invite.
Yeah.
And because often I go, well, just do this. And she'd go, why do you always? And I'll be like, what the heck have I done? You told me a problem. You know this is what I do in my everyday world. I can't hear a problem without finding a solution. But in saying that, I can be at the supermarket and somebody behind me in a queue can be saying a problem, not to me, but even on the phone or something to the, and my head instantly goes to, oh, solution is that. Just do that. Makes so much sense. Don't even know them. But my friend did often just want to, quotation, offload.
Right.
And so I think that's that beautiful thing, from when you're talking about holding space is sometimes people just want that conversation,
Yeah.
not a solution. And, we just talked about it. Oh, we just talked about it this morning before we hit record. You talk to somebody and you just went, let me have my voice. But you didn't,
Yes.
you said it your way.
Yes.
But just
That I
once
need
you,
to speak my truth. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when you speak your truth, we listen to you and we feel, and we're just holding space for you. You know how to honor loved ones on different beliefs. You may not agree with what Moira is saying or seeing her,
Mm-hmm.
and you may not agree. And some of the stuff I was like, but you can't just offload to me and then expect me to sit on it. But
Right.
that's what she needed. She just wanted to speak and hear her own voice. And often when we speak aloud, we know this. Often when we speak aloud, we're like, oh, that just sounds silly. Okay, yep, I can hear that. I can hear my problem. I can hear my stuff. And the solution comes in, sometimes just from even hearing your own voice. But I think that's the other thing is, if you're going to honor loved ones on belief, don't try and fix it. They may just be wanting to voice their voice. And that's okay too. So ask them, what would you like me to do with this knowledge?
Precisely.
And
Precisely.
in fact, that's just a whole tip on its own.
It is. I wrote it down as a
Oh,
separate.
because if you jump into solution mode and they just want to offload, you're taking away their credibility of being able to answer that question themselves.
Yeah.
Because I know when I'm offloading to somebody, and I don't, it's clearly a word, offloading. If I'm
Offloading
having
is something new for you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. If I'm offloading, if I'm having a conversation and I can hear it and I go, oh, yeah, okay, there's that thing. Yep, that has to be done. Yep, there's another thing. Oh, great. I have a conversation with someone and there's 4 emotional charges I can hear in there that I've got to add to my list and work through.
Right.
But often I can think that I don't need someone to go, did you know that? Like
Right.
I had a conversation recently with somebody when I was in Australia and someone said they've been putting on weight. They've been putting on weight and their partner said, you're getting fat.
Oh,
I know, bless.
oops.
You're getting
Oops.
and she was like, well, obviously, because I've just had to buy new clothes. Do you not think I know?
Duh.
And I know, and just that's the prime example. You just going, well, you're putting on weight. Sometimes we don't need the obvious in front of us. We can see it and feel it. We're not sharing it with you. Like we don't need you to tell us, you're
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
fat. So if we
Yeah.
have to go to a whole new wardrobe and we're breathing differently and there's a whole level of that, we know we don't need you to go, hey, you're getting fat. No shit, Sherlock. Oh, wonderful. No,
Whoops.
whoops. Beep, beep, beep. State the obvious. Tell me something I don't know. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I don't need to hear those things because we already know it.
Right.
And especially if you think you've put on weight and you have to buy a whole new set of wardrobe, you don't think you've put on weight. And
Right.
that's okay, but sometimes you don't need to tell your partner, yeah, that was
Yep.
a funny, like, wow, you just spent all this money on clothes and now they want to tell you, did you not know that?
It's
And
like,
then I was like,
yeah, that's why I was shopping. Thanks.
yeah. And then I go, okay, Deborah, calm your farm. Calm your farm. You're not helping this lady right now. But it was amusing. It's like, don't tell me the obvious. I know. So sometimes hearing our words out
Mhm.
actually help us go to that next level of healing, whatever that is going on.
Whatever the challenge is. And it's actually a really interesting point because I said earlier, a few tips ago,
And we're
about
back.
the idea of the reason, season, and a lifetime, right?
Yes.
So that weight gain may actually be a reason or a phase that was needing to be, maybe there was an emotional charge, because it's actually very interesting. I put on a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Thank you, menopause.
Thank
and
you. Yeah.
and the nobody ever said to me, "Gosh, Moira, you put on a lot of weight." But I actually didn't have to buy lots of clothes because fortunately I wear pretty stretchy, baggy things,
Yeah.
and maybe that's why. But the reason season type of thing happened for me because I actually remember feeling like I'm not gonna get all bent out of shape. I hated looking at pictures of myself because I'd be like, yeah, way bigger than I feel comfortable at.
Yeah.
But I also, and this is how I'm wired, when I'm left to my own process, that I know I will fix it. The solution lands at the right time. And Deb, you know this, I actually took off 30 pounds.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
I know.
When I did, and it's maintained. It's still off. That was over a year ago that I did that, and still feel really good. But that's the point. I think that I would not have had that result had I had people around me saying, "God, Moira, you put on a lot of weight," because like you just said, oh, I knew it. Every time I look in the mirror, it's like, yeah, look how many chins I've got now.
Yeah. Well, I'm giggling because literally I had a great auntie Floss, and my great auntie Floss was like my nana. And I remember going to her and she said, I can't quite remember, she said to me, and she was old. Well, you know, she died in her 99th or in her 100th year. She hadn't made 100th, but she was turning 100 that year.
Right.
Yesterday was her birthday, so it's even funnier that I'm saying
That
this
you're
now. In
talking
fact,
about it today.
her birthday's on in Moira's world right now because she's a day behind me. So yeah,
Okay.
of course the Floss comes in.
Happy birthday, Aunt Floss.
Yeah, that's it. But she said to me, you've put on, she said, have a look at yourself. And I went, what are you talking about? And I thought she was flipping brutal because
Oh
I was
gosh.
thinking, people aren't noticing that I'm putting on weight. She said, you've put on so much weight that you look like you've eaten a horse. It was either a
Oh,
horse or a cow.
oh
And I
my
was like,
gosh.
I know, because older people really, they don't have time for that BS. They don't have time.
Just tell
Older
me.
people, yeah. And so she goes, and I went, what? And she goes, you need to take all your clothes off and look at your back fat. Now, she didn't know. And now I'm actually probably the same size I was now back then. But
Right.
she was like, take your clothes off and look at your back fat. And I was like, what a horrible woman you are. Like, I was like, that's horrible. And then I thought, actually, you know what? I've been trying to hide this. I have been trying
Mm,
to hide this. And I didn't think people had noticed.
interesting. So that she was actually honoring you as the loved one.
Yes. And
That's
at that,
fascinating.
yeah, and I just remembered that then. And of course, it's her birthday yesterday. Oh, sorry, yeah, birthday say.
Today,
But,
yeah.
but it was that whole, actually, you know what? You're right. And I
Mm.
did go home and I ripped my top off and I looked at my back fat. Now, I'm not, just for the record, I'm not a gazillion pounds. Like, I'm not.
No, no.
And then in the back fats only really when I wear a bra. Just saying that it just had a little bit of a, oh, that's a bit tight. But it was really the truth that got me to start looking at who I am and what it was. But I hadn't had that from anyone else. And I never said it to anyone. But I mean, for me, it was enough to go, actually, I couldn't get angry with her because she was just telling the truth.
Right.
That's that beautiful holding space and energy is she was telling, and she didn't ask permission to give it to me. I don't know if old people actually ask permission. They just, yes.
This is what I've noticed.
Yeah, yeah, and but it was so brutal. And Moira and I talked actually before we got on this call that sometimes our experiences can't just be, hey, here's a little feather tap. Hey,
Yeah.
did you know? Sometimes they've got to go to that whole whale that immobilizes
Yep.
us until we go,
Smack you about the
oh,
head.
right. But it was her words that made me go and assess my physical shape. Now, this was probably 15 years ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I still remember it clearly. And that was a brutal, home, honest truth. Boom.
Yeah.
But it was also, she honored me and she
Yeah.
also honored herself on that, you know, and also I know she didn't like people who put on weight because she could see what happened around when people put on weight. She was definitely, I don't want you having to live this life of,
So that's where she was communicating from.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But
there was
it
a lot
was,
of love there.
and when I go back and I look at that memory, she didn't say it harshly. She just said it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for her, she was like, you look like you've eaten a horse, Deborah. It was either a horse or a cow. I think it was a horse. Can't quite remember. And I was like, what the heck? Did you just say that to me? That's a horrible thing to say, you know. And I could have gone on a whole spiral and went, you're right. Actually, Auntie Floss, you are right. Floss, you're right. 100%. I do. Thank you. And that was it. We moved on. But I didn't take anything personally going back to that because it was the truth. I did look like I'd eaten a horse. Not quite.
Right,
Not quite. I'm just
right.
going to say. But it
Not quite.
definitely had an impact.
But
Yeah.
you know what comes to mind as you're describing that? And I'm thinking it's important to read the room. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
So
yes.
it's important for you to do it in such a way that it can be received. And obviously, what your auntie said to you, you were able to receive it. There
Mm.
are some people that could not have received. They
Oh,
could
it's a
not have then gone
brutal.
home and done it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it is brutal when I think about it. It's like, whoa, but it woke me up. And I giggle because I just moved a piece of paper on my desk. Of course this happens. And it says, may your head and heart speak with one voice.
Yes.
And and that's all she was doing at that moment. She just believed she was speaking with one voice. Her head and heart spoke.
She was
Deborah, you
really
look like,
coming from her heart because she cares
yeah.
for you. Yeah.
Because it was said that way, I took it that way.
Mhm.
But if she'd said Deborah, and I mean I can still hear a firm voice, but I do believe she spoke with her head and heart
Yes.
to speak that.
And
I
you felt
don't.
it. You felt it. That's what I'm talking about the reading the room. She knew that she could do that and that you would receive it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it landed right. Got me going, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But like you say, and you and I are both kind of similar in this regard, that when we need a kick up the backside or a reminder, we tend to need it fairly succinct and sometimes a little bit loud.
Damn. Damn.
Dang it.
Damn.
And that can be an internal thing too, right? That it's like um so for me, I can think of times where I might have promised myself I am gonna start doing this workout routine, or I am gonna start changing up my eating habits, and then you kind of
I am gonna read my content on my website and change it. Like it doesn't just have to be around eating, just for the
yeah,
record,
yeah.
people.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
any internal,
I'm gonna
yeah.
write that podcast. I'm gonna or that blog post, or I'm gonna develop that program. And so sometimes we have to watch those patterns, because if we're saying we're going to do it, gotta do it. And so sometimes the nudges keep coming. It's like, well, keep saying it, keep saying it, keep saying it. How many times do you have to say it before you're going to say, oh, I'm going to step forward into this plan of action. I'm actually going to do this, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's actually an honoring loved one, you being the loved one there too, right?
I know. I know. And I think that's the other thing is when we look at our honoring our loved ones, it's actually honoring ourselves as well because we are a loved one.
Exactly.
And I know we haven't talked, I've just realized the time. Whoops. I know we haven't talked self-care. I know we haven't talked glitter bomb. I know we haven't done those things. But do what lights you up and just know one thing. It has to stay that way forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's different tools that you can use each time. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Um,
And we did kind of talk about self-care, and I'll share that quote that I read out again
yes.
when we do our recap. But doing
Yeah.
what lights you up, that's why I suggest that question. How do I feel about myself here?
Mm.
Because if I feel in flow, I feel authentic, I feel like I'm making a difference, I'm helping, I'm being of service. And those are all good things. And we're not here to change other people's beliefs either.
No. No, we're not. But we think we are.
I
Guess
know.
what? Look in the mirror, people. There's things that would be wise for you to change too. Don't just go fixing others because take a good look at yourself. Take a
Yeah,
good look at yourself. No person is perfect. There's ever evolving work. Moira and I are constantly evolving in what we're doing. We are constantly
100%.
challenging ourselves, and
Yeah.
if we're not challenging somebody else's, we're challenging and evolving, and the things happen, and away we go again.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right. Well, looks like we're going to sum up our podcast into as brief as tips as possible. I laugh as I say that. So if you didn't grab your note-taking device, grab it now, unless you're driving or running, because that will be a problem. So just know that the tips that we give you as we sum these up are going to land for you. So we're going to do our tips on how to honor loved ones on different beliefs. So we started with our heart coherent again.
Yep.
We started with that beautiful pulling us back, grounding ourselves, pulling us back to what's in our heart. And well, actually, there's a few that they just all jump into the same, the heart coherent, and then what would love do?
Mm-hmm.
Speak from the heart. And to me, those are actually three tips. Pull yourself back to your heart coherent. What would love do? And speaking from the heart. They're three tips that I think we joked them
We
into
kind of,
one.
yeah, we did put that into one, but you're right. They are
Yeah, they're
very
very,
succinct. Yeah.
they have their own power as their own bullet point.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
And the next tip, you were saying we didn't really get into sacred self-care, but we did touch upon it because I read this really cool quote out, which I really like,
Right.
by Eleanor Brown. And she said, rest and self-care are so important. When you take time to replenish your spirit, it allows you to serve others from the overflow. You cannot serve from an empty vessel.
Ah,
Perfectly put.
I
Perfectly
reckon,
put.
I reckon she was listening to Moira.
I
I
think
reckon.
so. Yep, that's why I grabbed it. It's like, oh, there's another accent on my voice.
Oh, totally, 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 totally. Uh, the next tip I have is seen, heard, acknowledged.
Mhm.
And when we say seen, heard, acknowledged, that is everyone wants to be seen, everyone wants to be heard, and everyone wants to be acknowledged. Now you don't have to agree with them. Again, for their different beliefs, you don't have to agree with them. But if you can see, hear, and acknowledge them, it just allows you to sit back again, back into your heart. It all brings this is so bringing it
Yeah,
all back to the heart again.
back into your heart. Absolutely.
Clearly, the people who are listening, you need to know.
You attracted this so as that you could be reminded
Yeah,
to
it all pulls us
live in your
back.
heart.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that seen, heard, acknowledged also has back for yourself as well.
Mhm.
It's not just for
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. Seeing, hearing, and acknowledging others is great, but you got to start with you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
perfect. Perfect.
Love it. The next one I have is to check in with your BS.
Yeah.
I always laugh when I do that because I like seeing people's faces when I say that. Check in. What type of BS have you got?
Yeah. What have
What's
you
your
got going
belief
on?
system? What's your
Yeah.
belief system? But that's when we talked about, is it yours? Or is it something you inherited or that you've just kind of carried on as default? And then
Yeah.
also, is it yours to fix it? Because
Oh,
sometimes we have that belief system of, oh, I know this technique, I know this way of healing or energy or mindset, but
yeah.
is it really yours to fix? Right? So that's such an important part. Check in with your belief system, your
Yeah.
BS.
The next one I yeah, the next one I have is trust.
Yes.
Trust. And that because if you're wanting to fix somebody, you are not trusting their process.
Hmm.
And that's a whole level on its own.
Yeah.
Because if you're not trusting their process, you're not trusting them, and that can get personal. Again, it
Hmm.
can go down that whole journey of being personal. So trust is incredibly important. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, it really is.
yeah.
The next time tip I have here is we were talking about shoulds and obligations. And that's when
Mm,
I was talking about um, if I find myself in a space where I'm having to tell somebody or ask somebody, I need you to do this, and then I know that they're only doing it because they feel obligated to, then I'd rather they didn't. I'd rather that not happen. And I think that's a really, really important piece is to I'm willing to do things on my own rather than have somebody doing I should do this or I feel
It's
obligated.
it's horrible. You just
Hmm.
and and we do it. And imagine if they found out. Like just imagine if they found out that have to go to Deborah's again, or I have to get on that call. Like I just don't want you there. I just
Yeah.
don't want you there. I'd rather have and I reference the rotten fruit in the fruit pile. When you've got a rotten fruit in the fruit pile, it affects other people.
It does. It's time to remove that rotten fruit.
Yeah,
Otherwise, every other piece is going to get rotten and moldy.
yep. Send
That's
it
a good
away.
analogy. That's a good
Yeah,
analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's our next one?
I'm
Oh,
sure,
shoulda, woulda, coulda. That one? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Did that go? Oh,
well,
no, we didn't do
that's
that
what
one.
that was what this one was, the should and
Now,
obligations.
there was one that I missed. There's this one after here. I've got dash dash, but I didn't write what it was. Huh?
Well,
Whoops.
maybe this is the one where I talked about law of attraction, that we are actually all powerful manifestors. But what I
Yeah.
was talking about is that um you be mindful who you share different aspects of you with, right?
Mm,
So it's like if you know that um somebody's belief system, they don't believe law of attraction, for instance, that was the example I was giving, then you're not
yeah.
going to go talk to them about it, because that's going to put you out of alignment. So
Yeah.
so you keep it to yourself, but you have that conversations else places.
You do, you find those who you resonate with, and you have those conversations. And that's why people in intimate relationships, it's wise to have a different purpose.
Yeah.
If one person has a purpose and the other one doesn't, guess what the other person does? You become their purpose. And
Yeah.
that can take you on a whole journey on its own.
That could
Whole
be setting yourself up for a dysfunctional codependent thing.
that can be, yep, and you're going to be reaching out to us a lot more. A lot
Hmm.
more.
But that, to finish this one off, is that I had said that we we need people. We need our tribe. That's what it's kind of. I didn't use those words, but it is really that we need our tribe, and that we cannot expect one person to meet all of our needs. Right?
Mm,
So the law of attraction actually is a really good example, because I know many people that think it's a completely woo-woo, out there, off the charts thing, that so I don't go talk to them about it. But I
yeah.
know the people that I can, right? And it doesn't take away at all from my relationships that I have with those who I don't talk about those things,
No,
right?
and I think that's the thing. Once you can see who you gel with on certain things, and this is not a separation from your intimate partner, but this is
Mm-mm.
definitely just I can see I can talk to Moira. I can talk to Moira. My partner's spiritual in her own sense, but I talk to Moira on a whole different level of spirituality.
Yeah,
You know, a
yeah,
whole different level. I had a little thing recently, and I talked to my partner about it, and she was just going, "Oh yeah, this, yeah, nah, nah, yeah, nah." It was literally, you could see her go beep
beep, beep,
beep,
beep, beep.
get out of the conversation.
Leaving the room.
Yeah, totally. But I love that she was just like, "Not my monkey, not my circus."
Right. Yeah.
I love you, Deborah, but that's that you need to talk to Moira about that. That's far too like
Not my
what.
thing.
Yeah, it's not my thing. And she still loves me for that.
Right.
And I still love her for that. And this is the whole thing about this is honoring them for their own beliefs. But knowing, she's not I'm not gonna say she's not jealous that I get to talk to Moira about
Mm.
that.
Mhm.
She's if anything, she's probably relieved
Yeah, thank goodness she has somewhere that she can go and talk that, unpack that
because
idea.
exactly. And I,
Yeah.
I don't know, I could ask her. But I feel that that's that whole thing is she's probably more like, oh, phew, she's got Moira because otherwise I'm going to have to educate myself on that. And she's all like, oh, and all
Yep.
those things. But I have that honoring,
Yeah.
honoring each other for that.
Hmm.
Um, the next one I've got down here is the awareness
Yeah.
and the
Self-awareness.
feeling. Yeah, the self-awareness of yourself. And we, one of us said, stuck to an agenda. We have agendas all through life. Is this our agenda to fix them?
Hmm.
Is it because something's happened in the past? Is this our agenda to fix them because we haven't healed that part of us previously? Is
Yeah.
this our agenda to fix them because of who flipping knows? But just check in with your purpose, your what does this actually represent for you when
Hmm.
these triggers come up? So be aware of your agenda, but we are here as self-evolving human beings. Now I know everybody I said we would condense these tips, but we're clearly not.
That's why she laughs when she says that.
As I know, I hear that, but yeah. But we're here to level up. We're not here to stay small, stay complacent in anything we do. We're here to evolve and learn, and you're never too old, you're never too sick. There's there's always something to level up. So we're here for that. So reflect back on this. What does this represent for me when something comes up? So look at it and evolve from that. But that's what we're talking about with that agenda. Is this my agenda or is this someone else's agenda?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is this really mine or is this theirs that they're putting onto me?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's from there we went into, I said about the four agreements comes into here, right? Because if you do have that agenda or you're thinking, oh, I have to fix this, then you're not being impeccable with your word. You're definitely making an assumption. You're maybe taking it personally, like this isn't going to get resolved unless I show up and I do this and I tell them this. And you're
Yeah.
not doing your best because your best is honoring your loved one and accepting them as they are, not as you would have them.
Yeah.
Right?
As they are, not
Yeah.
what you would have. As they are. If they're not for you, walk away.
Yeah.
If they're not for you, well, actually, don't just walk away. Don't just do that. Connect with Moira and I, and let's see if they're definitely not, and it's not your ego brain. Not just go, yep, you're not for me. No, your agenda's too
Yeah, yeah,
strong.
yeah, no, no, no.
Don't
No,
end, don't end that.
we don't want lots of breaking up just because, oh, Deb and Moira said I have to leave you.
I have to leave you because you believe left, I believe right. That's not. It's
Nope,
not.
nope.
But it is that. I talked about holding space.
Hmm.
Because Moira and I are exceptionally great at, excuse me, holding space for our people.
Hmm.
I possibly don't hold as great space for myself until boom, something happens. I'll be very honest
Whoops.
there, but I can hold space for everyone else. And I mean, I do hold space for myself, don't get me wrong, definitely. But there's moments that I go, yep, and I can see that. And that goes back to the ever evolving. I'm constantly looking at how can I level up,
Hmm.
improve where I'm at, love where I'm at, and go to the next level. But I asked Moira about how do you hold space?
Hmm.
And she gave some tips, and that was the full, now correct me if I'm wrong here, Moira, the full body listening.
Yeah.
Feel it in your body. Your full body is listening and telling you what to do.
Hmm.
Listen to, now I've got listen, actually, listen to the story.
Yeah.
Listen to the story. Is this your story? Is this their story? Can you just go back to holding that space? And then I
With
guess
no
go,
labeling and no judgment, just listen.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then you can invite them.
Hmm.
Ask them to invite. Would you like me to help you with that? Now, this I can't. I just wrote invite to you. So, I don't know. And that just what does that mean? Just ask them that conversation. Would you like to hear what I have to say? That asking that
Yeah.
permission.
So it actually happened to me just yesterday where a friend was she's going to give up smoking. And so she's
Yeah.
telling me all the reasons why it's going to be hard. And I said, I have a tool for that. Would you be interested in me sending that to you? She says, oh,
I
yes,
love
yes,
that.
yes.
That
Yes, please.
how how beautiful is that? That just right there holding space.
Hmm.
My favorite one when people say things to me is I go, I can help you with that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't even say want me to help. I just go, I can help you with that. And
Right.
then they're like, what do you mean? What? What?
Yeah.
Oh,
So see, that's an opening too. It's like, really? There mean there's help there for that?
yeah. You
Right.
do know you've been my friend for 15 years and you do know I've been doing this business for 19 years and you're offloading to me about being out of gratitude and you're stressed. You know I can help you with that. Oh yeah, I forgot. I just see you as that person. Well, that person's still that person, by the way. But
By the
yeah.
way.
And then the key is not to shame them and go, what? How did you not know I've been doing
Yeah.
that's me just talking to myself, by the way, people. Um, but I loved with when we talked about asking permission, and asking permission is really a separate tip away from that holding space,
Yeah.
asking permission. And
Yeah.
that's where I shared the story about great old Auntie Floss, who told me I put on weight and I look like I'd eaten. I'm sure it's a horse. You look like you've eaten a horse. It was either horse or cow. And you need to go get yourself naked and look at your back fat in the mirror. Well, okay, you could have softened it. But in saying that, it was beautiful. She didn't ask permission, but
Mhm.
she also spoke with a beautiful energy
Mhm.
that it woke me up. I know I'd put on weight. Like
Right.
I'd know, but I didn't think anyone else had seen. Now I have to giggle because this is one people can see that stuff that you're trying to hide. Okay,
Right.
everybody? If you're
Yep.
trying to hide it, if you got it, they can spot it.
Yep.
That's it. So just don't even bother. It's a waste of time and energy. Yeah.
But that's when, from that tip, my thing was I said read the room, but it's like being very mindful of, is this person open? And I love that story because you can just feel and hear that she came from love. She
Mm.
cared for you. She honored you. She wanted good health for you, and she was concerned. So
Totally. And it wasn't said in an a-hole way. Like repeating the story, anyone would just hear that and they go, whoa, that's horrible. And it's like, yeah, but how she said it and it was the truth. I
right.
didn't attack. I didn't go home and cry. I didn't suddenly leave her and go, I can't have a friendship with you anymore because of what you've told me, my brutal truth. None of
That's what
that.
I mean, receiving the room, reading the room. She read it and was like, yep, you can receive it this way. Not
Yeah.
everybody would. So it's
No.
very important to, well, because the other thing too with that being very mindful, being very inner led, is
Mm,
that sometimes, and this going back to this idea of fixing things, because I said that we all have our challenges and our issues, and it's for a reason, a season, and a lifetime.
yeah.
So, and I did talk a wee bit about me putting on weight. And actually, I did realize there was one person that said I had to lose weight. It was a doctor. He was a real asshole about it too. But
Yeah, they would be wise to read the room. Some of those
yes,
doctors. Then you get
yes,
a beautiful doctor and you're like, oh, seen, heard,
thank you.
acknowledged. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. But the thing was when I did, and this was about trusting myself, because I
Yeah,
did lose the weight, and it's
yeah.
been like, it's a permanent thing. Like I'm here. I released the
That
30
was like
pounds, and
3 years ago or 4 years
well,
ago,
it's
wasn't
about
it?
a year and a half. It's about a year and a half now. Yeah,
3 or 4 years ago. I'm like
three
in
or
my
four,
head. But
double it
it
all
feels
up.
like 4 years ago. Yeah, yeah.
But that's my thing, is that if somebody had come to me and said, "Oh gosh, Moira, you put on a lot of weight. Here's a diet you need to follow, or here's a practice that you need to put in place," or right, so it's like, it's not gonna fly. So that's why it's important to honor each person's own relationship with what they're going through.
Mm,
And you can look over their shoulder and see, wow, that's a challenge, and they're not dealing with it the way I would. But can you hold space and be okay with that?
yeah.
Right?
And often when I'm speaking, the tip is speak aloud. And when you speak aloud, you can hear it often. So give them that holding space. Also, give them that energy that they can actually just voice their opinion. I've had a friend who would uh, it's about letting her speak and me not jumping into solution base. I hear a problem, and even before they've finished the sentence, I've often found the solution in my head. And
Mm.
so it's that energetic puppy dog that I want to go, oh, 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 I want to tell you, fix this,
Right,
fix this.
right, right, right,
And so it's
right.
like calming my little energetic puppy dog
Mm-hmm.
and just being able to just speak it aloud and ask them. It's that permission again. And what I had here was a, a quote was, may your head and heart speak with one voice.
Right. Yeah.
And that just
That
goes,
is
okay.
one of my teabag quotes, by the way.
I always thought it was a your quote. I always thought it was a your quote. So well, actually, no, I didn't know who it was. I'm like, it came from somewhere. Came from some. Of course, Moira remembers every quote and where it comes
Well,
from.
it's because I keep them. They're like right here. I have them
Yeah,
beside me.
yeah, the tea bag, the actual literally tea bag, not the whole tea bag, just
No,
the.
just the tag. See, this one says gratitude leads to love. See?
Oh, see, look, to honor loved ones on different beliefs, gratitude
Yeah.
leads to
Yeah.
love. Those
Gratitude
tea
leads to love.
bags, those tea
Those,
bags,
they are epic.
they're flipping cool. Okay. Um, which is pretty much our last tip. I
It's
said we're wrapping up, but self-care gratitude, that's what I literally wrote
yeah.
down.
So okay, yeah, and I did have one more here, that, and it was, you said do what lights you up,
Mm,
because we did kind of cram these in. Do what lights you up. Honoring love, self-love, and we're not here to change others' beliefs.
Mm.
We're here to change our own. We're here sometimes to really call ourselves on the BS, on the belief system. Do you really believe that to be true?
Yeah.
Right? That can help honor loved ones also.
Mm. Mm. What a phenomenal call.
It's been
And
beautiful.
we have gone longer. I'm just going to say, people.
Whoops. Whoopsie.
Deborah's time sessions here. Whoopsa, whoopsa, whoopsa. So I trust that the times work for you, and if it doesn't, we have a tool for that. It's called thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll
Thank
just
you.
trust that it's worked out. But thank you. But we gave some amazing tips that literally we started with heart coherent.
Mm-hmm.
For goodness sake. Like for goodness sake, Moira started it. Our first tip was heart coherent. And this is how to honor loved ones on different beliefs. Summing up, it's all just a love bubble. It's a
Mm-hmm.
heart coherent,
Mm-hmm.
podcast with
It's leading from the heart.
each tip was all about the heart. Each
Mm-hmm.
tip was all about the heart,
Mm-hmm.
leading from the heart, living and breathing the heart from here. So I love that we've done that, and I trust that you got incredible value out of today. But my question to everybody here from this is, are you playing the game of life to the fullest? Are you playing the game of life to the fullest? Are you getting out of bed inspired about your day? Are you getting out of bed going, oh, I'm going to face today on that level? Whatever you put out, you're going to get back. So I would love you to know. So the next step is, after listening today, after listening to everything we've said, the next step is to think about what's your highest priority action step you're going to do today to achieve your goal.
Mm-hmm.
What is your highest priority action step you're going to do today to achieve your goal? That's your next step from here. And I will say, we are here. Moira and I are here for you. We show up to these podcasts. We give these podcasts. We serve with value. They are there for you to learn and evolve from.
Mm-hmm.
So if your highest priority action step you're going to do today to achieve your goal is reach out to us, please do that. If the next step is to listen to the podcast again instead of driving and take notes, then please do that. But we, again, are here for you to help you with anything that's going on in your mind, in your soul, in your heart, because we are here honoring our loved ones, and you are one of our loved ones. And I believe our beliefs are in alignment with you because you're clearly listening to us all the way through.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank Moira for today for showing up. That's super helpful.
It is.
And the internet, and for myself, and for the dogs that I could hear go crazy in the background and no one could hear. I'm just going to acknowledge
Thank
that.
goodness. I didn't hear them.
They were going crazy. And I was like, what? They're on different beliefs. They don't know I'm in here recording a podcast.
Yes, yep.
They're just doing their own thing. So the wisest way was to love them, or I'd get frustrated. So thank you for showing up today and listening, people. You know the next step. What is your highest priority action step you're going to do today to achieve your goal? That's us signing off on our podcast, How to Honor Loved Ones on Different Beliefs. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Moira.
Thank you, dear Deb.
And you'll hear us on our next call.
We'll be back for the next one. Much love to you. Thanks, Debs. Thanks, listeners. Bye.